And through the magic of television, we've got cleaned green onions. Now I'm going to trim the leaves here so that they're not quite as long. But here shortly I'll show you the rest of the ingredients that you need now that we've got these ready. So here are the ingredients that you need for my special super secret video game playing munchie. First, you need the green onions that you saw there. Now, you don't have to go through the trouble that I went through of getting wild ones, but they just taste really, really good. And you can't get any more organic than that. Next, you are going to need a block of cream cheese. The brand doesn't really matter. You're going to need to get some hot dogs. The less expensive you go with the hot dogs, the worse they taste. Just my personal opinion there. Next, you're going to need some bacon, and I've got some left over from earlier. And finally, you're going to need something to put the stuff in. Now, this has cream cheese from a previous usage in there already. So you need something to put the cream cheese and the onions in. And that is the entirety of the ingredients that you need for my snack. When I get back, I will show you how you need to combine everything and what you need to do. Okay, so as you can see now on the stove, I have got an aluminum baking pan, and I've covered it with parchment paper. And the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to lay the bacon out on the parchment paper. And then I am going to put it in the oven at roughly, my oven's kind of broken, but roughly 375. And we're going to leave it in there until just before the bacon becomes crunchy. Now, the reason for just before the bacon becomes crunchy, you'll see shortly, but it's very important that it's before the bacon becomes crunchy. You can use thick or regular cut bacon. This is regular cut, not thick, so that's again up to your personal preference. However, I am not a fan of thick cut bacon, so I don't use it, and I don't think that it would do very well in this recipe. It would take up too much room because, as you're going to see, we're going to stuff the hot dogs with this bacon. And I'm going to let my oven finish preheating, and I'll get that in the oven, and then we'll come back to you when I've got all this in the oven, and I'll show you the next few steps. So it looks like 17 minutes at about 375 degrees. It'll get you really, really close to what you need for your bacon. Now, I'm going to put this aside, let it cool off, and I'll bring the rest of the stuff over so that we can get this finished. One key note at this point that I'd like to make is that the cream cheese should probably be pretty close to room temperature. It'll make mixing a lot easier. Alright, so for kids and that are watching this, ask your parents to help you with this part. So I'm going to slice these onions pretty small. Alright, and now I'm just going to give this a quick rough dice. Man, I wish you guys could smell this. Ah, my mouth is watering. Okay. Now we're going to open up the cream cheese. It's been sitting out for a while. And then I'm going to grab a spatula. A fairly stiff one. And let's toss our onions in. And then you're going to want to mix this. However much you want to mix it is up to you, but I like for my onion to be pretty evenly distributed through the cream cheese. Might need my knife to get the rest of this. And set that knife aside because we're going to need it again later. And then let's just go on ahead and mix. So now we've got our hot dogs here. And our bacon's a little bit closer to temperature. Now I'm just going to cut these open. Alright, so I've got the bacon pulled off, and it is pretty much perfectly done just before it gets crispy. Got my hot dogs ready to go. I've got a new piece of parchment paper on my pan, and so now we're going to start operating. You need to slit your hot dogs pretty generously and spread them open a little bit. Like on that one, I went all the way through it on one end. But it'll still work. Alright, so now we've got our hot dogs ready. And you'll notice that our bacon is entirely too long for the hot dog. So what we're going to do is we're going to size it and slice it. And then you just push the bacon down in like that. So now, the messy part. Reach over and get yourself a fairly generous amount of cream cheese and green onions. And you're just gonna form it into a log. And stuff it into your hot dog. And there we go. And if you've got a lot left over, like I do, you can always just, top off a couple of the hot dogs. Like this one, don't think it got as much loving. Anyway, after we put these in, your oven should be approximately 375 degrees. After we put these in, I'm going to turn it up to, maybe 425, so we can get that nice golden brown crispness on there and get a little bit more heat down into the bacon. So you lay these out on the pan just any way that you wish. We got slight browning on the hot dogs, on the cream cheese. There's a couple of pieces of bacon, a little bit better done. Now, what we need to do is we need to let this cool a little bit, and then we're going to slice them up. We're going to put some toothpicks in them so that they can be a snack food. Alright, so these are cooled off enough to handle. I got my paper plate here. And my toothpicks. And we just take these and we cut them into quarters. And we put them on our paper plate. Or fine china, if you prefer. There you have it.